What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today I want to talk about what you should do in high school. Freshmen, sophomore, junior, and seniors. There are different things that you guys want to pay attention to and prepare in each year. Doesn't matter if you're just beginning high school or you're about to end your high school. Let's talk about all of those things. Let's begin with freshmen, 9th graders. All right, before we get into what you should do for 9th grade, there are probably a lot of rumors around you. There is somebody that your mother knows about, and then that kid is doing something very special, makes me look bad. And what do? Do I just do whatever he or she is doing over there, or do I just go my way? I hope today's video will help you understand what you should do for this year, next year, and on, so forth. Ready? Let's do this. 9th graders, right? Now, all 4 years in high school is important, but freshman is the most important year in terms of course selection. For example, like in order to take a lot of APs, like high-level courses, like high-level IBs, and to decide what I want to study in college and all that, you have to start strong with 9th grader courses. Like, for example, math. They're prerequisite courses, right? In order to take pre-calculus, you have to take algebra, algebra 2, and geometry. Now, you have to take pre-calculus in order to take calculus, and so forth. So, to do all that, how do you put them in order so that you could go in a sequence that will help you prepare better for the college preparation, right? So, whatever you start off with in freshman year, will be a setup for a better sophomore year. And then whatever the courses you choose in sophomore year, again, will be a setup for a strong junior year and so forth. You get that, right? So what do you have to take in freshman year? Try to find out all the prerequisite requirements that you will have to face in 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. And then try to set up. So you're doing it the other way around. So you wanna set up a projected potential course selection for sophomore year, junior year, and senior year, and then go back and try to select whatever the courses you want to start off with in grade 9. Does that make sense? Now, if you don't have a strong start in grade 9, let's say you start off with C's, and then it's really hard to pick that up once you get into grade 10, grade 11, and so forth, because the courses will tend to get tougher. You have a very weak beginning in grade 9, and it's really hard to recover from that. So don't allow that in freshman year. You want to have a strong start as soon as you start high school. Now, as far as subject test preparation goes, what you decide to take in freshman year, for example, math, will set you up for whatever the math course you take in sophomore year, so that you will have to decide whether or not you're going to go and take the SAT Subject 2C test towards the end of grade 10 or grade 11. That's all of that, science too. All of that's going to be decided what you take in freshman year and sophomore year. Some students, they tend to go and start taking the SAT Subject test towards the end of sophomore year, right? So that's how they do it. So you want to figure that out now and then see if you can actually want to go towards that direction or go a little slower. It's all up to you, but at least you have to study and know what it is out there and then decide, choose the ones that you want to take. Okay, besides the subject test preparation, what about SATs and ACTs? You have to start the standardized test preparation towards the end of a freshman year. Now, you at least you have to decide whether you want to go for the SAT or ACT. If you have got no clue, then you're wasting your summer vacation time, and time's gonna pass. And then when you start sophomore year, you still have no clue whether or not you're gonna be a better fit with SAT or ACT. I mean, I'm not telling you to finish the test. I'm not telling you to completely achieve your whatever the goal you set up for the SAT or ACT test, but at least you have to find out which test between the two will work better for you between the freshman year and sophomore year summer vacation time, right? All right, let's say you just moved to the States or somewhere, and then your English is not all that ready for the SAT or ACT. So you have to study the TOEFL. Then get that TOEFL stuff done towards the end of freshman year so that you don't have to worry about it in grade 10. Sophomore year, you're done with the TOEFL. All you got to worry about is either the SAT or ACT. That's also a good setup. What about sophomore year, right? Around this time of high school, year, you will start to think about what you want to study in college. It's okay if you're still undecided, but you want to start thinking about it. I'm not telling you to decide what you want to study in college, but like start thinking about it. Does that make sense? So it doesn't matter if it's science, math, English, social science and stuff, like find what you're strong at. There is a subject that you're strong with. There are some subjects that you like to study. Find out what you're good with, what you enjoy. And that's important. So once you have that idea, then you will know what you want to take for the AP courses in junior year. So because they're connected, there's a prerequisites again. So you have to take some courses in sophomore year in order to move up towards the courses that you won't really want to study for the AP courses in junior year and senior year, right? So it's like, again, 10th grade is a setup for a greater challenge for the future. Now, let's talk about SAT subject tests. If you have finished the pre-calculus math in sophomore year, you want to prepare for the SAT subject test because the SAT subject test 1C or 2C, they're all about pre-calculus. So when all these math equations are fresh in mind, you want to go and ace the SAT subject test while you are at it. Now, if you look around, there are some kids, or your mother comes back home and say that there's somebody in the same grade as you are preparing for the SAT subject test, science subject test, and social science subject, and then what the heck are you doing? You're not making the time most useful, and all that. Don't worry about. Do not worry about what other people are doing. You want to at least figure out what you want, what you need, how you're preparing. If you have a strategy, if you have a goal, if you have all these things plans set up, you're all set. It's just execution. You just got to execute your plans. But other people, they probably have an earlier start than you. And then, chances are they're going to have a strong start, and then they will probably slide down. And, don't worry about what other people are doing. They're doing whatever fits best for them. You have to figure out what fits best for you. That's all you got to do. So don't worry about other 10th graders taking the SAT chemistry test, the SAT math test. If you're not prepared for the math, that's okay. You will take it next year. As far as college admissions go, colleges do not care when you took the test. As long as you submit a good score, and they sort of care about the number of subjects that you submit, but not when you have taken the test. Doesn't really matter. So don't stress out so much because of that. But other standardized tests like SAT or ACT, you really have to invest decent amount of time so that your scores, wherever you start off with, you will have some decent jump in the score. You know what I mean? Like, so for SAT, people who study here, right? If you work hard over the summer, your scores will tend to jump from 200 points to 300 points, depending on how many weeks you take, how much more time you put into it. But that's average. There are some very few kids whose scores jump higher than 300 points. Now, as far as the scores go, it jumps most from 500 to between 700. But it slows down. It's really hard to jump from 700 or higher. And same thing for those beginners on the SAT whose scores are like 400, 450 range. Because you sort of are a beginner, your scores tend to kind of not to jump or change that fast. But if you are higher than 500, then you know what the heck's going, you get an idea, you have an idea how to roll, you have a good teacher, you invest a good amount of time, your scores will jump unbelievably. Just have to put in time and effort. That's what you want to make it happen in sophomore year so that you could actually finish that test in junior year. Then, as far as college standardized test, college preparation goes, you are in a good condition. What about junior year? What is most important? Again, your school grades. Because you apply when your senior year just begins. So your junior year score will matter the most. Doesn't matter how great you are in freshman year, that's like 2-3 years ago, or how many activities or how high of a GPA you used to have back then. Colleges don't care. Colleges mostly care about how you are now when you apply. So that means junior year is the closest to full year that the colleges will want to pay attention to. So your subjects, doesn't matter if you go to IB school or AP school, your school selection, school courses may have gotten a lot tougher than how it was in your freshman year. So you have to invest more time in studying. Because your courses got tougher, you have to study more. Does that make sense? Say now is like September, October time. Beginning of a semester, beginning of a new year, you're a junior student, and then you sort of kind of have a feeling that you're not doing so great, or you think you're not going to do so great in a particular course. You have to talk to your parents about it. You have to find a good tutor, as much help as you could get in order to save your school GPA. If you just allow it to slide down, then it's really hard to recover from a bad start in junior year. Second, we're talking about high-level courses like APs and high-level IB courses. It's really hard to recover from a bad start. Remember that. As far as standardized test preparation goes, either one of these two things I'm about to tell you needs to be finished. Either you finish the SAT 1 test or ACT test or SAT subject test requirements. Like if you want to study something related to science, you want to have science SAT subject test be done with it, plus math, something like that. Or you're still working on this in your junior year, then your SAT needs to be completely finished so that you can balance how you want to invest your time outside or besides the school stuff. Because you don't want these two things, SAT 1 and SAT subject test, both hanging behind when you start your summer vacation after junior year. That's a lot of work. Around that time, you're going to want to start writing the college applications and essays and all of these crazy things. You want to get rid of some of these things before your summer vacation after junior year. Another thing that you want to pay attention is college consulting. After first semester of junior year, at least around that time, you will have to talk to either your school counselor or private counselors like myself. Talk to them and then find out what you want to study in college, how to prepare things, how to spend next summer more effectively, and what are the things that you can start in spring semester, summer vacation time, and start applying to early decision, early action schools in October time. Because all this thing will drive you crazy as soon as you turn senior year. You don't want to have all of these things jammed up and bother you when you start senior year semester. So you want to spread things apart, spread things around so that you could have some of these things being taken care of in junior year. That also includes college essays. A lot of students that I work with here start college essays and brainstorming and names, which colleges, college list, all of that stuff during second semester of junior year. That's a great way to spend your second semester of junior year. What about senior year? What about senior year GPA? Now, in college's point of view, college admissions point of view, if your grades in senior courses, school grades drop a little lower than how your scores were in junior year, that's a very disappointing news. At least you have to have it at the same level as how it was in your junior year. Ideally, a little higher, right? That's how you want your senior year school GPA look like. But in theory, that's what we want. But in reality, that's not easy. That's not easy because the courses that you are taking in senior year, in theory, gotten a little tougher than the courses that you took in junior year, right? So, it's really hard to bump up your GPA from there. So that's why I say at least you want to have it at the same range, same as how it was in your junior year. Again, that's why you don't want to spend so much time. You don't want to have so many extra things that you need to pay attention to when you begin your senior year, because the courses that you're dealing with will be tough enough. And then on top of that, if you have SAT hanging by an SAT subject test, and then the college essays and college applications, and then activities. You can't just drop all the activities that you've been doing for the past 3 years all of a sudden, right? So that's a lot of work. You want to spread it apart so that you could be either done with the SAT 1 in your junior year or some of the SAT subject test requirements or some college application essays so that you could really study for the senior year courses. Let's wrap up this video. Now, if you remember what I said today in this video, the most important thing in high school from freshman year to senior is your high school GPA. Now, as far as SATs, ACTs, and subject tests goes, if you kind of bombed it, if you kind of failed it, then you could always go and retake it next time. There's always next chance. But high school GPA, if you didn't do well on your midterm, it is what it is. That's what you're going to get in your school grades. Some school teachers will give you makeup test and retest and all that, but it's really hard to bump up score from a bad start. right? So every week, every day, every test, every assignment, you know it, you have to hustle. That's why high school GPA is really hard to kind of keep it up there, maintain in the top notch. All right. As always, I'm open to your feedback and comments about how you're supposed to spend your high school days. If this video was helpful, I would love to hear that you liked it. Again, if you have any questions, please leave it there. I'll do my best to answer. Have fun with the school exams and tests. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.